Hello everybody, Rachel here. Today I'm going to be going over some, deck reconstruction for lack of better terms, for the Steel Song deck that I want to run for Birmingham. I'm going to go through a little bit more, of like a analytical approach, or at least I'm hoping it's going to start as analytical today, and kind of break down the deck with what is necessary, what is nice, and what is optional. So yeah, let's get into Steel Song. Okay, so to start off, the Steel Song deck, or any deck, I guess, whether we're talking Steel Song, Bounce, Seesaw on Ice, Popsicles, anything like that, it's going to have obviously 60 cards or more sometimes in it. But you need your 60 cards, you need your up to 2 ink colors, and you need a mixture of inkables and uninkables, probably characters and other stuff to be able to win the game or play the game even. Each deck, though, if you'll notice by going on to different deck lists and searching them up online, has a variety of different versions of it, if you will, whether those versions vary from set release to set release or from tournament to tournament. And some of those are reactions to seeing other really good decks out there that they want to make sure that they have a game plan against, or cards specifically for, or whether it's because new cards were released and people wanted to experiment with the different cards that were out there that might help the archetype. So different versions, so different cards in different versions of the deck for different reasons. No matter what, when you boil it down to it, the archetype is the archetype typically for a reason. It's because that there is kind of like a structural core to each deck that remains generally unchanged from version to version. Now, as different cards are released, obviously there might be some changes there from the different archetypes. So like singers, for an example, the core of it is characters that can sing and songs that they will sing. For a vast majority of time, the general line of singers and the general line of songs was more or less untouched. But as more and more sets get released, you'll see some singers become more or less popular and some songs become more or less popular. So I have a lot more information on this on the deck blog. I think I have like 6 pages written up. So if you want a little bit more like of a deck analysis and my thoughts on it, check it out here. But here's the basic synopsis of it. So you need a core deck, and so for the core deck of singers, it is, or for Steel Song, I guess, you need an early game singer, you need some early game songs for them to sing, you need a couple of early game pressure pieces, you need something that can sing a song of 5, whether it is like a Robin Hood that was shifted, or an Ariel that can sing for more than her cost. You need something that can sing 5. You need ways to draw cards, and then you need some late game pressure, because even though this is, and especially the version that I like to play of it, a very aggressive style deck, you need to expect to potentially get into the late game, so you want to have some type of plan for that. So those are the basic types of cards that you need to make the deck run. So what are they? The very basics that I would say that you need as far as your early game singers is like the Little Cinderella, so the ballroom sensation. Ariel is also one that everybody uses a lot of. I'm taking Ariel out of my core list. I think she'll probably still make it in there, but I do think that some other singers that have come out recently are looking better than her, and I'm thinking that she might end up getting replaced. The early game pressure that I'm including as kind of my core deck at this point in time is a Mr. Shmee Bumbling First Mate. He quests for 2, he punches for 3, he's got a 3 defense, he comes out on turn 2. He is just a good early game pressure piece. He's either questing for 2, even if he ends up taking himself out in 3 turns, it's still 6 lore that you get off him, or he can take out some early game pressure pieces as well. He's bigger than a Flynn frenemy, so he's just kind of a good all-round kind of turn 2 play. I say that you need 8 pieces of removal, and so for the 8 pieces of removal or 8 or more, I guess 8 plus, I got Strength of a Raging Fire. Let the Storm Rage On is kind of like my must includes. Let the Storm Rage On, 2 damage is pretty good early game. Strength of a Raging Fire is pretty good if you got a Swarm out, and they both can be sung with your first turn Cindy. Other songs we'll get into later. Your ways to draw cards. The biggest one that I think is irreplaceable in the deck, or at least at this point in time, is A Whole New World. However, Rapunzel's pretty good too, especially to kind of clean up some damage, maybe on your Shmees, and be able to draw some cards off of that. Late game pressure, I'm saying, is Cinderella Stouthearted. She's awesome. Robin Hood's pretty awesome too. But as far as like my core deck that I would say should, or at this point in time, will remain unchanged for me, it's got 22 cards in it. So Little Cindy, Shmee, with the Storm Rage on, Strength of Raging Fire, A Whole New World, and 2 Big Cindies. That's kind of like the core deck that I would say that I'm working with. That's 22 cards, which means I got 38 spots left to be able to fill up with the maybe cards. Now, some of them, in my opinion, are not maybe cards, at least for me at this point in time. Rapunzel, the Robin Hood line, those are like auto ads for me, but they are ones that could change depending on what gets released in the future, or what other things you're thinking that you're going to be up against. So I got a whole kind of breakdown about why that is my core deck and what each card is supposed to do. And then what you do after that is you go through what other people are playing or what other cards might be out there. So I've got a breakdown of some singers that I just crossed off already and some other singers that people are playing. So possible add-ins, probably add-ins. Ariel, the Ariel Spectacular Singer, she searches for the top 4 for a song. Now, the reason that I'm debating cutting her is because she misses like all the time with me, and Naveen just feels better. So when it comes down to it, if I'm looking at making cuts, Ariel's not one of my first cuts, but she also isn't as safe as some of the other cards. Prince Naveen, auto add to me. I love him. He's great. Originally, I was like, you know, like he probably looks better than he is. Then I played him like, oh my goodness, no, I love him. So Prince Naveen is, I've upped him to a 4 of. Again, he's on kind of the maybe one just because he is such a newer card that I'm not ready to fully commit to him being part of the core of my deck, but like almost there. Great card. Ursula Vanessa is another singer that everybody plays. I'm cutting her. I just don't think I anchor her all the time. She can really only sing, I guess she can sing the damage songs that Little Cindy can, but Little Cindy can sing them. And the other ones that she can sing is, And Then Along Came Zeus, but it just doesn't feel like it's worth having her out when I have other cards to play on too, like Shmee or Piglet. So chances are Ursula's getting cut for me, but you know, she is another singer that people are playing that's worth putting out there. Next thing that you're gonna look at is your songs. So I already went over the core of songs. The other ones that, you know, potentially could get added in are Be Our Guest, let's look for characters. I think there's better options, and especially if you're looking at the top 4 just looking for characters, it is a character heavy deck, but I don't think that it is worth playing in it for the limited amount of spots that are left to fill up. Grab Your Sword, I'm cutting it. It's good for aggro. There's not a huge amount of aggro in the format, and I played against aggro the last night or so, and I was able to handle aggro more or less with just the cards that I had. It was tough in the mirror, but I don't think Grab Your Swords would have saved me in the mirror match. World's Greatest Criminal Mind, I think that's a decent one to potentially add, especially with a lot of the bigger decks out there with like the Maleficents and the Sisus and whatnot. I think World's Greatest Criminal Mind is a good potential add. I don't think it's a 4 of, it might be. We'll see what the deck lists look like that are coming out. It is inkable, that is the nice thing. It gets rid of, you know, your Sisu Maui. Maleficent. It does not get rid of a Mufasa. That's kind of the only sad part there, is that it'd be nice if it got rid of the Mufasa. Bare Necessities, good card, gets rid of things that are in your opponent's hand. Noteworthy, it's not just songs or actions. You can get rid of locations like your castles or your libraries. Those are becoming a little problematic now. But you can also get rid of your things like your Be Prepareds or Fishbone Quills from your opponent's hand that you don't want to see come out. And then Along Came Zeus, already kind of talked about that. It's uninkable. It does get rid of a lot of problems. It's kind of on that maybe slot for me. It's taken a very valuable spot in the deck, and I'm just not sure if it's going to make my final list, but it is on that kind of like good middle ground. I want to play, so after your singers and songs, then you have to fill up the rest of your deck. So I want to play a little bit more of an aggressive deck, which would be like the Shmees, Piglets, what else is on here? Shmees and Piglets are the big one. It really felt good using Perdita before to bring back Piglets, but again, a lot with the removal and a lot of kind of like the big style decks. I'm not sure if Perdita is worth keeping around, but she was nice to bring stuff back with. Your other options that are out there to kind of round out the deck as well that are less aggro and more kind of do other things, I guess you could say. There's your Robin Hood lines, your big Robin Hood, your small Robin Hood. Robin Hood is an awesome all-star. He gets lore for taking things out. He draws a card if he gets banished in a challenge. He can sing, he can shift. Robin Hood's a good one. The Queen I was originally not sold on, but I think the Queen is really good for the mirror match. Because just adding that extra 4 damage or taking that 4 damage away from something else makes a lot of your math for your trades a lot more in your favor. Other things that have been used in the past are like Tinkerbell, Beast, Tragic Hero, whatnot. I'm not sure if there's a spot for them in it now, but they maintain on my maybe list, and I keep coming back to them to see what the deck potentially needs. Ariel Sonic Warrior is another one that people do want to play. I really want to like her in a deck. I don't know if she does enough at 6, especially when like a turn later I could be playing Big Cindy. Big Cindy feels like the big finisher. She's hard to get rid of. She does a lot of damage. She quests for a lot of lore. She can take out readied characters. Big Cindy just feels like the much better one. But I mean, whenever you play a song with Ariel, you get to do damage to something. So that is kind of a nice thing to be able to potentially have too. The other 2 things are on the maybe list, or that are constantly on the maybe list, are lanterns and flutes. Lanterns popped up recently to kind of get some characters out early. Flutes are always a nice game finisher if you've been board wiped and you have the flutes out, because there's not a huge amount of item destruction that's being used right now. Get your flutes out. You just need to be able to play songs to close out the end of the game. So not sure if either of them will make it in. I've got a bunch of decks that I'm going, or deck lists, and that I'm going to be trying out. Eventually, I'm going to have to make a decision for what this version of my final list is. And yeah, and then I'll probably change it again. So like I said, I got like a whole bunch more information on my thoughts on this on the deck blog. So go and check that out if you're interested in that. And if you're interested in seeing what I end up doing with this deck list, Josh and I will be testing on Twitch throughout the week. And I'll post more on the deck blog and probably on this later, but what my final for now versions of this deck are. Thanks very much for watching. Hope this helped. Hope you learned something that you can apply to your deck, or apply it when playing against singers. Please don't apply it to me, but and we'll see you again.